Got him. Good morning, everyone. Kansas Sports HQ here, Season 2, Episode 67. We're here on Wednesday. How are you guys doing this morning?
Better than I deserve.
Blessed and early favorite.
I'd like to showcase my new cup.
Oh.
X Out Arms. There we go.
No longer in need of the Zephyr
nice
cup.
Got kind of it's green for roughly colors towards Green Bay. So
Don't worry, I will lose
Yeah,
that.
you know what,
this
Colin,
will no
y'all
longer
Yeah, I will use
be in
it.
Sean's hands ever.
Sean will get
right.
stolen.
Use it eventually, and then it'll
My
never
D
come
cup
back.
broke, so yeah.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Had a fun meeting with X Out Arms yesterday, so we'll have some exciting news coming from them in the near future. Nothing to drop right now, though. Just dangle the carrot.
I mean, there's some stuff to talk about if we're talking about firearms.
Oh, what? Yeah,
The suppressor stuff is moving forward. No longer do you need a Form 4.
yeah.
I did read that in the state of Kansas, and then you have to be a part of some like certain things that don't cost extra money or anything like that. So I'm excited because I know what X Out Arms is working on, and I want to test it.
Over the next 30 days or so should be pretty exciting times.
I already called dibs to be their test dummy, but
You gonna retire then?
We'll see what happens. That'll be fun. It was a cool meeting. I'm learning all kinds of stuff. So
It's because you live in that house.
no,
You're a partner in that?
not at the house, but
In the
I'm
shop?
excited. Yeah.
Very good, very good. Well, today we're going to chat about failure and how that looks for, I guess, any aspect. But Sean, you wanted to talk about this yesterday, and we derailed the conversation.
well, I suggested I could talk about it, and I think we found other stuff to talk about. So when we were thinking about topics to talk about today, because we try to be as, I guess, authentic as we can be on here, we don't really have a script to talk about. We might just put out a topic the night before, the morning of, and just kind of roll with it. And so today we're kind of
Exactly how we do it.
rolling with it. Yeah. So
Well, we haven't really had a good topic pod in a little while. We've been talking about current events and things going around. So
reaction per se.
it'd be a good topic
and I
pod.
think
so.
for the last week and a half, kind of been talked out of the whole college eligibility and all that stuff. Even though there's going to be more to talk about there.
Just before
eventually.
the SEC did come out in support of the Big Ten, so they're following in the
Big Ten set the standard, man.
Hey, so their SEC is
Probably-
a bunch of followers now.
It was probably Kirk Ferentz who,
So what's Lane Kiffin really gonna do?
Iowa football coach, said, "No, we're not doing this," and then the Big Ten commissioner listened. That's what I heard. That's what I heard. I don't-
Inside information.
Yeah, I don't know if
but-
that's true. I just assume.
And then they
'cause
little brothered.
we know
the
Ohio.
SEC.
We know Ohio State didn't want to do that.
Yeah.
They wanted those pro players back. So
But I will say that
I'm reeling us back to our topic.
they did not list baseball on any of those. Just FYI, football was listed, basketball was listed. I mean WNBA in there as well too. But
well,
nothing
that's
about
basically-
nothing about baseball on those requirements or eligibility.
Reel it back.
All right, so failure.
Okay, so I was in here the other day, Saturday, working out, and I was doing a lateral movement day for my workout. So I was working on some side to side movement, a little bit of agility here and there. Nothing too crazy. Just wanted to get something in. It's Friday's workout wasn't. We didn't really do much on Friday other than golf. So, anywho, so I was timing my 5-10-5 kind of at the end of my workout. And granted, it was the end of the workout, it's the end of the week, so I'm not expecting to shatter my PR or anything. But I ran the first one, and it was a lot slower than I kind of wanted, And I didn't slip or anything. So I was like, oh, wow, you suck. So automatically I'm like, what a bum. Why do I do these things? Because I'm like, man, I'm lighter now. I've been eating, but I should be, knowing as a coach, first of all, I choose to do these things in my life, baseball, golf, and working out and stuff, coach. And I know especially in the baseball and golf aspect, it's a ton of failure, and progress for sure is not linear for the most part. I mean, big picture wise, you hope that it's linear, right? But small picture, month to month, week to week, it's usually not linear. And I know that. And that's what I coach. That's what I preach when I coach, especially like, like Parisi when I'm coaching the kids or baseball lessons. It's like, this progress isn't always going to be rocket ship straight up in the air, going up, up, up. And yet when for whatever reason, I hold myself to a different standard that I'm going to, whether it is golf, because it's funny, like Friday, we all went golfing too. And it was, well, to say it was a rough day would be a very solid statement
Who
for
won?
Sheldon.
Yeah, Naj and Sheldon won.
The brother.
Mostly Naj, obviously. They beat the Whites. And
I was gonna say, do you remember having a rough day?
No, I
remember a good day.
I remember a good day.
well,
Yeah.
I come in, what?
Keep going.
So now rubbing salt in the wound. It's all good. After I'm already beating myself down, it's great. It's really good camaraderie in here. But
No problem.
Camaraderie?
so camaraderie actually. And I was struggling on Friday, and then like after I did lessons that night, I set up a tee, and I was just gonna do some hitting, maybe some pitching, just get some more workout in on the day.
Staying hard for the wibble.
Yeah. And then my first swing off the tee, I hammer the tee and the ball goes anywhere. I'm like, I suck at this too. What am I doing? Anyway, so I just got to thinking and talking to myself because I'm alone in the gym on Saturday after I did that. And I ran a few more and they got better, right? In a little bit lower times. And when I was like, it is very hard, first of all, to balance the expectations for yourself versus reality of what you're doing, and enjoy that process of going up and down. And then also when I relate it to per se my relationship with the Lord, it's the same thing, right? Is like in my mind, I want it to be a linear progression where I'm like sanctification. I want that to continue to grow closer and closer to God. Yet I still make stupid decisions and sin a lot. And I can't like expect perfection of myself because I'm incapable of it. So anyway, I wanted to open up that discussion, because we've all experienced different levels of sports and such, a lot of baseball in here, but where, failure is always at hand. And I want to talk about trying to balance that failure and then having a good mindset to, remember that progress isn't always linear and we need to try and enjoy the ups and downs. So I want to hear your guys' thoughts on all that, as I got really deep in my own mind Saturday and figured I'd share that with you guys.
Yeah, I think there's a ton of that obviously we preach and talk about here. Parisi specifically. I mean, because Parisi's such a compete against yourself kind of mentality, but also like the whole idea behind what we're doing here is obviously preparing them for the field or the court or whatever, they're going to eventually go and compete in. And there's like two competitions that I think are always happening. Is obviously you're playing whatever game that you're playing, and that obviously you're coming together as a team if it's a team sport or individual sport, whatever, and you're competing against other people. But then you're also always somewhat competing against yourself, right? Like, and you're holding yourself to a standard and trying to work towards the best version of your athletic peak that you can possibly get to in that aspect. And it's a constant battle. I think it's something that we hear a lot of times in Parisi, which is always just, it's kind of an eye opener to me, or like something that I kind of scratch my head on. But you hear parents that will say things along the lines of like, oh, well, we already got this figured out, like we're really good here, we just need it. and that always like throws me for like a massive loop, because I'm like, wait, what? Like,
isn't everybody else doing that? Or?
Well, it's just like you see professional athletes across the board all over the place. Like, dude, these dudes still have coaches, they still have trainers, they still have people that they're working with, and
sometimes those coaches and trainers never competed at the highest level,
not even remotely at the level that they're at. and they're still actively pursuing a better version of what they were the day before, and they're constantly working on those things.
What makes you think that you have it figured out?
Yeah, it's just it always just makes me scratch
There's a
my
formula
head.
for it?
It's just
Only formula
let
that
us
works
know.
is baby formula, bro.
Well,
I
allegedly.
just don't understand that mindset. You know, it's just like, oh no, we're fast. Like we know we're fast. We just need strength.
Or
We're super strong,
like,
but we're just not very fast. That one always kills me too. I'm like, wait a minute, what? Like, you obviously have no knowledge base in this field whatsoever, because if you think either of those things are synonymous or should be, you just don't really understand what we're talking about here when it comes to athletics. You know, there is certain things out there that you can just be super, super, super strong and super, super stiff and can't move. And like, yeah, like there's, you know, powerlifting and
Yeah.
things like that.
and
But
if that's
that's
what
your
you want to
sport,
chase out, great.
okay,
Because
yeah.
that is a sport and you can be really good at that.
But on the lion's share of these conversations of people that we talk to, it's just like, wait, so you're trying to play basketball, football, baseball, all of these things, but you don't understand the development side of it that it's going to take to play those things at a high level. And so, I mean, there's just these conflictions or these conversations, I guess, to be had of like, what and how do you prioritize what? Because at the end of it, as all of us know, like you're going to fail a lot. Like I mean, it's constant failure. And that's what sports are is, you know, everybody, or at least I think, you know, a lot of high level people, like, I hate to lose more than I love to win. And, you know, that's just the thought process behind why I was always driving the direction that I was driving, was because like I can't stand losing. Like winning is fun, but winning is like my standard. Like that's what I just expect. Like I expect to win, I expect to be great,
Good
I
job,
expect
Nosh.
those things. But, you know, like you got to be able to fail, because if you don't learn how to fail or understand how to fail, like sports aren't going to work out for you because you're going to lose. Like there's no undefeated player out there. Like it's just not possible. So
I'd say that. I mean, that was my biggest weakness by far, especially as I got to college. And I would even say in high school too. I think it held me back a lot in high school because I wasn't willing to go outside of my comfort zone as much, I would say, in game, because I didn't want to fail going outside at like a basketball. You know, if we were playing an open gym and practice or whatnot, and there was no pressure there, I'd go outside of my normal role and I would do pretty well. And I never took that step and brought that into the game because I was like, well, I got to play my role for my team right now. And if I go outside and I mess up, that's going to look really bad on me. And I didn't want to fail in that way. Like if I failed at my role that I'm designed to do, like at least I was like doing my role. Right. But if I go outside of that, I try to because I didn't really dribble that much on offense. It was catch and shoot or feed the post. Like that was kind of my role. And I let myself get and it's not the players or the coach's fault or anything. Like it's my fault because I didn't take that extra opportunity. And it seemed like the few times I did, my mind just sped up too much, and then I'd make that mistake. But if if it's just a pickup game or anything like that, no problems. Like I could run the pick and roll. I'd shoot off the dribble. I'd make a play on make a more daring play on defense. Go for the steal a little bit more and really go for it. And even in football, not. I think football is not as much of that same thing, other than I could have stood up for myself a little bit more for the coaching staff, to the coaching staff a little bit more. But other than that, just I think, and even in baseball and stuff, I was talking about this with the lesson the other day. Like, my pitches in like high school were like 4-seam, 2-seam, curve, and splitter. That's what I threw. And, I wouldn't commit to trying to throw another one of those pitches because I tried in practice, or I tried in a bullpen, or maybe throw it in catch. And I just want to commit to like actually getting better on it over and over and over again behind the scenes. I just like, well, this stuff works for me. I'm going to try this stuff. So that fear of failure outside of what you're already doing can be a thing that you got to overcome too. Like actually working on trying to pull the fastball or pull the off speed a little bit more, as opposed to I was fine with my approach. It worked in high school fine. Not great, but fine. And it got me to college. But then I got to college and I was overmatched really well. And then when I did get to college, dealing with failure was definitely what took me down real easily.
Yeah. Failure's hard.
I mean, go ahead.
Go ahead. Failure's hard, man. Especially for, I feel like the hardest kind of failure is people who don't get it until later. And that's kind of different. Like, Sean, you're a different case that experiences so much failure early that don't succeed late. That's very rare. But the dudes who don't get the failure until they get to college, i.e. myself, it's hard for us to really come around from that because a lot of people don't know I got cut from JUCO. That was a really hard time in my life. I was home. It was during COVID. Everybody got cut from JUCO, but that was probably the hardest time in my life. That was the first time I got cut ever in any sport. So like for me, that was like a big reset and a big humbling ground. But I feel like sometimes some people need failure to also kind of get them back to a humbling ground. I don't say failure is not always the worst thing in the world, but I feel like some people need failure. And I would say that Institute of Failure definitely kind of pushed me into the direction I needed to go to be a better human being, honestly. So don't knock out failure. Failure is not the worst thing in the world. Trust. No, it's not.
Yeah, I would definitely. Yeah, I'm definitely not saying that failure is a bad thing, but
it's how you handle it.
Exactly, like how you respond to it, and trying to. I'm trying to remember what word I'm trying to use here. I keep saying balance, but that's not what word I'm trying to use. It's something like that. But how do you flesh failure with dealing with maybe a perfectionist mindset or I want to get better, like I really want to do this, and you do put in the work, but you keep running into the wall. Like I think failure is great. Everybody needs to fail a lot, actually, because then you don't learn if you don't fail. Right? It's like you said, like people who perhaps were so like really good or like good enough not to fail too bad up until they get to college and they get hit with that first failure. A lot of people quit right then and there.
Yep.
Right. And maybe the thought crossed your mind at one point.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah. And I mean, I thought crossed my mind too. And, I'm go through my sophomore fall and I don't get a single freaking hit. Especially when in the Fall Ball World Series, a pitcher on the other team, first at bat all fall, gets a hit. And then the dark thoughts start really swarming in there. But that
you might become just a PO or
I wasn't pitching then, so no, it was different dark thoughts there. There was a river and no, I'm just kidding. All right, but those are struggles I think most athletes go through. And then I think something I was going to say to Sheldon too is I think the best thing an athlete can do is, a lot of people have high ceilings but really low floors. Okay, I can perform up to this level. I have performed up to this level before, but when it's bad, it's bad. Like I crashed down like Jazz Chisholm per se. And he's one of the most talented players in the league.
For sure.
He's got a super high ceiling, but a really low floor. When it's bad, it's bad. When it's great, it's great. And there's obviously a ton of different cases. He's just, me and Naj were talking about that this morning, so it's present on my mind. Maybe he'll come on the podcast to rebuttal against me. It'll be great. But
I hope so.
Yeah. And I think what we do best here, at least what we preach and what I try to preach in lessons too, as well as Parisi, and the goal of Parisi is to raise that floor. So when you do fail, it's not a very far fall. And that's when we get to that other discussion of parents thinking they got this right, or coaches thinking strength coaches thinking they got this right, and they don't need this, and they don't need Parisi, they don't need that, right? They just need to work on their game. They don't need to work on athleticism or movement, right? Because the best thing about Parisi, I think, for just any athlete in general, is raising that floor so that when they do fall, when they do fail, it's not as far down. Building in not just the athletic ability, but also the mindset and the recovery mindset to where they have a lot more confidence just moving wise. And then their athleticism is good enough to fall back on when they do fail at the technical parts and the fundamental parts of the game, whatever game that might be. And so it's like, okay, yeah, maybe you only want this from us, or maybe you only want that from us, and you got this on your own, but there's a chance you don't know everything. And we admit here, we don't know everything.
Mm-hmm.
That's why we have this great connection to the Parisi network, and we continue to learn. But like trying to do what everybody else does usually leads to a low floor. But I think what we do well here, especially, is not only helping kids break through that glass ceiling of their athleticism, right, and get higher, but also raising that floor so they don't have to deal with failure quite as harshly as somebody like me had to, because I didn't have any athleticism to fall back on when baseball fell out, or when I struggle with basketball, when I struggle with my shooting, I didn't have like good confidence in my athleticism to go to the rack as very much,
Sure.
What? You didn't take it to the cup. Got to take it to the cup.
So
especially, I was a good free throw shooter, dude. I was like 90% my career.
I mean, on the sports side of it, I once had a coach who said, "Control what you control, and in your failure moments, pocket the positives that you learn and throw away the rest."
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So that kind of stuck with me, but then I had to learn about it in life.
Right. Yeah.
That's, as an athlete versus in life, the overwhelming side of failure just can eat you alive because you want to be the best, or you want to be the best version of you. So how do you, I mean, I'm going to ask the room, how do you handle pocketing the negative, and do you trash it, or do you just look for the positives and grow?
I hold on to the negatives too hard, and that's my biggest issue. Is I'm very self-deprecating. So I don't know if I think I'm motivating myself, but really, I just think it doesn't matter. Like if I'm golfing, or I'm coaching, or I'm just trying to achieve something myself. Because I mean, one thing I used to part of that too is I'll let everybody else answer before I get into that next tangent. But yeah, I think I focus on the negatives too much. Pocketing the positives, I let the negatives overwhelm the positives, and that could be in anything in life.
But do you feel like the overwhelming negative removes your idea of what positives you had to grow off of?
Yeah, no, I think I think that's that mindset of mine, focusing on the negatives, and which covers up any sort of positives I had, instead of looking for, the high points or whatever, really can stunt you growth wise with your maturity, but also stunt you growth wise with anything you do, whether that's work, sports, athletics, coaching, whatever it might be.
Mm-hmm.
And I like the control what you can control, but I think when coaches say that, they have to explain what they mean when they say that. Control what you can control.
Hustle.
I mean, do your
attitude,
portion, do your
effort.
job,
right? But like, if you're not
the-
specific, because I know a lot of coaches say that. It's a good saying, right? Like, if you're worried about what you can't control, but you have to break it down depending on the situation, what you can control each time.
What?
I mean, most of the time, that control comes down to your emotional response to a situation, and
Attitude,
how you pocket that stuff.
Yeah.
Because if, again, injuries happen and they don't, in my football side, I separated both shoulders. Like, I wanted to come back.
You wanted to get broader shoulders. You wanted to make more room for.
No, I just wanted to, but I still wanted to compete and stuff like that. And then when it doesn't come back,
and you work so hard to get back from the first one, and then another one comes.
Yeah, just you look at those, and some people can't handle those because they look at injuries as failures. I mean, there's so many different ways that you can compile your failures. So how do you pocket it, Naj? How do you pocket a failure?
First, I'm a very optimistic person, so there's always something you can take from it, no matter what it is. Well, that's a 3-pitch strikeout. That's the only thing you can't really take anything from. Like, that's about it. But other than that, bro, you could always
you fouled one straight back.
If I fouled one straight back, I was on time.
Yeah.
I was on time for that.
And then you just missed the breaking.
Yeah, I just missed the breaking ball. It was too big. I let it go all the way to the other batter's box, and then I swung. Like, wait before you do that. Swing out a little earlier at least. But no, I think until I was kind of the same way like Sean for a long time, but especially my first 2 years at Friends, and then kind of my third year, got the Australian that told me, bro, like, if you hit the ball hard, bro, you win every time. If you hit the ball hard, you win every time. You hit the ball, you lose sometimes. So really and truly, I just thought about it like basically going based off of baseball, the last sport I played. I would say like I realized that you had to fail to succeed, and that was kind of the thing that I kind of took from baseball and ran with it.
You fell in love with failure.
Yeah, I kind of do.
Kind of got to be a sicko about these things.
Yeah, I am. I'm actually. If you ask a lot of people, they would call me kind of a psycho. To be honest, because I love failing.
I love that. I love that.
Dang! Look at that eclipse right there.
This weekend.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, there you go.
I heard that. No, I'm not gonna get. I was gonna start talking about the eclipse for a second.
Don't do it.
We're talking about.
I know.
We're staying on topic. Sheldon, what about you?
Yeah, I mean, I think that obviously everybody has their own, I guess, version or what you think failure is. Like for me, obviously we're all in here, us three anyway, we're mainly baseball guys. So I think my personal opinion is that baseball players have to learn very, very early that, you're not going to get on base every time. You're not going to always get the out. You're not always going to do everything. And so it starts to get ingrained into our mental space that it's just like having a perfect game is borderline, it's borderline impossible. Like you can do it. And it happens from time to time. Like I've had games, I go 4 for 4, make every put out, and I'm like chilling, and it feel great. It happens. But, you could look back on careers and look at that. It doesn't happen very often. So, from a very young age, we're constantly dealing with that in the sports sector to where it's just like you start to build up this mental resiliency towards just knowing that it's not always going to be perfect. Like it's just not going to be there. Although the ones of us that wanted to play ball at a high level, like we were the ones that were kind of crazy about it. And we're like, well, I know it's not possible, but I'm going to chase it anyway. And constantly pushing towards it, constantly doing everything, outside of the field, on the field, before, after, like doing it just nonstop. And so you build up this kind of mindset in that process to where it's like, I know that I'm going to work harder than everybody around me. I'm going to do everything I can. And I know it's not going to work out, but I don't care. Like, I just don't care. Like, I'm going to do it anyway. And I'm going to do it, even though I know I'm going to be pissed off at the end of this. Like, I'm going to do it to try and be less pissed off, because if I don't do all of this stuff, I'm going to be even more pissed off. So it's almost like you have this gauge of how pissed off do you want to be, because one way or another, you're going to be. And, or at least that's how my mind always wrapped around it. And, so like for me, like, especially getting into like playing like college ball and everything past that, like losing the game was a part of it. It wasn't like everybody wants to win, but you also, as you mature and you get older, like it's a team sport. And I could go out there and have a perfect game myself and we could still lose by 10. Like it's just the realities of what baseball really is. So then you start getting into the topics of conversation of, what kind of teammate are you? Who are you? How are you going to carry yourself when your brothers around you aren't doing as well, or they're not carrying with you? And like, what type of thing are you going to become in that process? Because I've been on both sides of that as well too, where I've been a complete dick and like not a good teammate and, being pissed off at the world. And then I've also, as I matured and got older, I was a great teammate. And, the winning and losing on the field wasn't the say all end all. Like, don't get me wrong. Like, we wanted to win every game and that's what we're trying to do. But there was a level of maturity that came with that to where it was like, hey, like some days it's just not going to be in the cards. Like some days it isn't all going to come together, and that's the realities of it. So you learn to kind of balance those things out with a constant push towards, we want to be perfect still. And we have to gather everybody around us to try to want to be perfect still. And that's where it gets hard. Like that's in college and you're playing at a high level. That's where it starts to really, really become it's a relationship game. Like you have to figure out the guys that are with you. Like there's just a lot of off the field things that play into stuff. So it just becomes much more than just winning and losing and doing your job. And like, there's just on surface level, like, yeah, but there's just a lot more that plays into it. And then outside of that, like, obviously, as you get going into like bigger stuff and bigger things, like failure, in my personal like stuff with what we do in business and things like that, like failure is not even on my radar. Like, I just expect it. I know that things aren't going to work out. I know things that, it's just the realities of the world. It's the realities of the way that we are, human nature. So, it's just almost, it's a mute point for me. Like, I just, like I expect things to screw up, and then I'm just going to work through them and keep plugging along and keep finding ways to make it better and make myself better, make my team better, make everybody around you better. And then you just try to mitigate what and how big those failures are, right? Like, it's just, you got to be able to push through the hard stuff to be able to make the turn or whatever you want to call it, to get things moving in a more positive direction and to where the successes start to come, right? So, I always kind of run back to the examples. Like, when I started early on in my career, my mentality was always like, like, you're going to work right now. Like, no matter what it is, no matter what you're doing, like, you're going to do more work now than what you're going to do 10 years down the road. And you're going to fail a lot more now than what you're going to do 10 years down the road. But it's like, you work right now. And then, you might get paid a little bit, but you need to work. And then you might get paid a little bit more. And like, it's just this, you have to pay the dues of failing, of figuring it out, of working through the hard stuff, doing all of that. If you think whatever you're going to do, no matter what line of work you're in or what it is going to be successful, there's no cheating that. Like, you can't work around that system, that lottery mentality of like, oh, well, I just have this idea, it's going to be awesome, or this thing, it's going to work great. Like, it's going to be this straight line to success, is like one in like whatever the odds are, like in an insane number. And I don't know, like, I think baseball players have just, not all of them, obviously, but just in a big picture thing, like, we've been dealing with failure since we were young kids, trying to figure out a game that really just spilled over into life. And then, from that, it's more about like the control what you can control thing is an important thing. But I agree with you. Like, there's a lot more that goes into that statement. But, like, if you keep things simple is what I would kind of, allude to, right? Keep them simple. Your effort levels on the things that you're going to do are things that you can control. And, like, you can work through anything. And then, ultimately, when it comes to like business and life and those types of things, if you never quit, then you can't lose. And that's just a motto of like, you just have to stay the course. You have to keep working hard. You got to figure it out. And if you do that and you just don't allow anything to, infiltrate that mindset, then you're going to keep going and you'll find ways. And maybe the avenues change, maybe the vehicles change, maybe, you switch routes, here and there, do different things, whatever. But, as long as you stay persistent, you stay disciplined, you keep doing the little things and over and over again, eventually things start to move in a momentous way for you. And that's, that's kind of the mindset there. But, failure is a fun thing for me. Like, I've failed so many times on so many things. Like, it's just, for me,
kind of a sicko about it.
Yeah.
Really like, you kind of got to get into the weeds. You really got to love it.
Hey,
I don't love it, but
sucker for pain.
Dave, if you're going to make a comment about the comment, I want to ask Sheldon a question about the comment.
yeah,
I was just going to read the comment.
I haven't even
So
seen the comment.
one of our listeners says, as a father of two, failure in sports is extremely important for the growth and development them in life. As an almost athlete myself, it's a huge internal battle on how to deal with my kids' failures.
So
That could be a whole nother topic.
So yeah, Sheldon, that's going to be my question. Like,
Okay.
you have 2 kids. You have 2 kids that are playing sports right now.
Okay. Yeah.
You have one that's going to play sports and
Power
yeah,
lifter.
Yes.
Yep. So like, you're a competitor. Banks is playing baseball. Like, how do you like, what is your vision
Mm-hmm.
for handling Banks's failure and Scout's failure as they go through?
Just got to learn how to spell failure first.
Yeah, definitely different based off of the athlete and the kid would be my first piece of that. But, I think like anybody, like with your own children, employees, people you work with, whatever, like, everybody's motivated differently. And so I think identifying what that is for the people, that you're coaching, that you're working with, that
fruit snacks,
whatever it is. Like, you have to understand that not everyone is going to respond the same way to how you approach them and how you perceive or present information to them, right? I can see very, very quickly, and I know very, very immediately that Scout is a lot like me. She don't like to lose. She's headstrong. She wants to be the best, and like that's her mentality. And so, like, she, for example, she had soccer this last week. She's playing on a different team. We're just playing for fun. It's activity for her to be out there. Like, it's not about winning and losing whatsoever.
You.
And yeah, and so she's over there, and after the game, she storms off the field, head down, walks right past both of us. Banks is sitting there like in La La Land, like having fun, and she just beelines right past us. She's like, "Let's go to the car. Like, I don't want anything to do with any of this. Like, let's go." Like, she's pissed, because they lost. And she's just mad, and they want to like talk to her and blah blah. And I'm like, "Oh, don't, just let her do her thing. Like,
let her cook a little bit.
She's gotta feel what this feels like, And eventually she starts talking to me, and she's like, I just don't I don't understand. Like, we're on a team, and there's 2 or 3 of us that have played before. Nobody else has played, and like we're not very good." And I'm like, "Oh, okay. Like, I think you already have the answers to your problems here." Like, and I was like, the reality is, Scout, like, the idea behind you wanting to win, I love that, right? And you need to learn how to lose. Like, that's a good thing. Like, I understand it's hard to understand right now, but it's okay. Like, at the end of the day, you're going to forget about this game tomorrow. I've already forgot about it. Like, it's not a big deal. Like,
you barely watched
You're just
Once the whistle blew, he just lets it out.
Chipotle?
Like, you don't, like, this isn't the say all end all. Like, this is just for you to get experience and get out there and learn to enjoy the basics of the game, right? And, but she's pissed, and I'm like, I love that. Like, and I want you to be upset. Like, because, dude, if you ain't upset, you can't be a winner.
No.
Like, and that's just the reality of it. Like, if you are out there and you're, well, it's no big deal, you ain't going to be good in sports either. Like, failure in that side of things is very healthy, and it is a motivator. Like, and anybody acts like it ain't been a winner either.
Never.
So, they don't understand what it is to play at the level that I wanted to play at, and that she's going to eventually, I'm sure, want to play at, right? So, you got to let them lose. You got to let them understand it. But the idea is, how do you take that situation and then utilize it to benefit them in the long run, right? And what I've really started trying to do with Scout is like, listen, like, if you don't like losing, then we need to work. And it's that simple. It's not the answer to their problem, obviously. Like, the soccer team probably ain't going to win games because Scout gets really good, but they'd be better, right? But that's what I say to Scout. It's like, Scout, like, if you don't like this feeling, here's how we can do something about it. Like, we can get in Parisi. We can go kick the ball. We can go work on stuff. Like, you and I can go put work in. So that way you're doing your part of helping this team get better, right? So if you really don't like this feeling, that's the next step. But I can't do that. Like, you got to want to do that. Like, it's got to come from your mouth that you want to go do this instead of going to jumpy jump land and whatever, right?
Urban
like,
area is what he's talking about.
Yeah,
guys.
like, you gotta want that, right? And if you want it, then I'm here. Like, you got every resource under the sun to be good at sports here. Like, trust me, like, you got more than I ever had ever. Like, there is going to be no shortage of that. But the last thing that I'm going to do is try to drag you there and do it. And I think that in a youth sports setting, like, to the comment and things like that, I think that we try to force youth athletes into things way too quickly, like way too fast. Like, they have to want it if you want them to, because you understand how much work it takes.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Like, you understand, like, playing at a high level, like, dude, like, you've got to bleed it. Like, it's got to be in your blood. Like, you want it, or it ain't going to work. Like, you can, yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong. Like, we have kids all across the stuff that we do that end up going and playing or going to a college to play a sport. Like, that happens, but that isn't, that's an accomplishment. I don't want to knock that because that sounds negative. It's not. Like, it is an accomplishment, but that's not the success that I'm talking about. Like, the success I'm talking about is like going to college and being a guy, like going to college and being a difference maker, going to college and be a 3-4 year starter, right? Like, you're the guy at that school or girl at that school doing something there, right? It's nothing nothing against the people that still make it, but it's just what level are you trying to go to, right?
It's a difference of, I went to college and played baseball. I played baseball in college. There's different.
100%.
There's 100% difference.
Well, and it's all sports there. But I think that we have so many kids that drop out of youth sports because we force upon them at 5 years old, 6 years old, 7 years old, like Scout is, where it's like, hey, like, we got to do this, and then we're going to go do this practice, and we're going to go do this, and you're going to do this. And then, like, it's forced upon them to want, like, some of them it works, right? Some, again, back to my first point, some people are motivated certain ways, right? So maybe those younger kids, I would argue that the percentages probably argued the other way, but, you know, like, some kids will just, it'll click for them, and they'll be like, oh, yeah, okay, like, this is just what we got to do, right? I was probably one of those psychos that worked on, right? Like, because it made sense to me. But you look at my mom's background and what she did is a little bit different. So, you know, it's just how do you find what's going to motivate them? And I'm not saying like just let them, you know, make their own decisions altogether. Like, let's just not put them in things, you know, things like that. But there is a balance there. Like, if your athletes are not wanting to actively go do things and bring it up kind of on their own, and you're always having to force it upon them, like, you have to figure out a better way to communicate that information to your kids. Like, you're going to have to find a way that makes them tick to where they're like, oh, okay, like, yeah, now I get it. Like, and it's not simple. It's not easy. Like, it's not as, you know, straight line as, you know, we would want it to be. But you got to also remember who you're talking to. Like, I have a 7-year-old daughter who's incredibly smart, and she's light years advanced for her age, and I have a 5-year-old son who's a 3-year-old brain. Like, it's just, you know, like having those conversations with them, trying to figure out what is what. Like, they're two different styles of motivators there. You know, I tell Banks, hey man, I'll give you a sucker. Yeah, I'll go do anything you need. Like, what do you want? You want me to jump off the roof? Like, he'll do anything.
Yeah, for sure.
You know what I mean? Like, he's way simply motivated because he isn't quite there yet. And it's just, you know, it's maturity and it takes time. But, you know, like, they have to, like, have some passion about what they're wanting to do.
Sure.
And, dude, you got to make it fun. Like, it can't be about winning and losing. That's another thing I think in youth sports that we have the biggest issues with is we have so many parents living through their kids about winning and losing this 6-year-old tournament.
The 7U AAA national team.
Like, they make it about that. So then the kids start to focus on that. And then when we're talking about failure, that's the only thing they understand. That's the only thing they understand because dad is real happy when we win and dad is real pissed off when we lose. So all I know is winning and losing.
Or his personal performance. So, you know, dad's really happy even if you guys lose.
Correct.
And you went 3 for 4 with 2 doubles and an RBI. And then if you guys win and you went 0 for 4 with
He's pissed. Yeah.
Couple ground outs, strikeout, and he's pissed at you.
Because a couple ground outs and a strikeout, not bad.
He goes up to the other parents whose kids contributed in the win. He feels like you didn't.
Yeah, I'm sorry, guys. My son wasn't worth a.
Yeah, we're gonna go home and work.
We're gonna go home, go straight to the cage, get some swings.
Car ride.
You gotta be a sicko.
We're gonna go work, you know.
Yeah, we're going to go home. We're going to go buy him a new bat from D-Bat, and we're going to swing because it's definitely the bat's fault.
It's the bat, yeah. We got to
We got to go get him the new.
I better go.
I heard it on that first ground ball.
Yeah, bro, we got to go get him the 2029 Easton Hype Fire Drop 5 with all the cool colors.
10U? You're at Drop 5 already?
Yeah. Hey, I just want y'all to know, hey, $500 bat does not fix a 10-cent swing. Just want to clarify that for the people who don't know.
Hey, go find him on Facebook Marketplace.
Yeah, at least find him.
Sean,
cheaper.
how you said you had another.
Oh, that's gone.
Yeah, this is a little bit more of a like personal hump that I think that many former college athletes can relate to. Like I should say recent college athletes. So you're a couple years removed.
Sheldon, you have the question.
Yeah, it's been too long for you.
Hey,
well, first of all, yeah, like Sheldon, he's 10 years down the road, has kids of his own now. A little different stage of life. Dave's 10-ish years down the road now.
50.
10-ish.
10-ish years down the road now.
You young buck.
But, like, I think, when I'm even, so if I'm dealing with my own personal growth in life, in different facets of life, post-college, like at least in college, even though I wasn't playing or doing anything special on the baseball field for sure. Like probably the most unspecial baseball, maybe revert anyway, special in one way. But
He puts the E in speed.
at least you could, yeah. At least you could, I could still like go around other people. And this is a man thing. This is a
Pride.
Pride. This is a selfish. Like we're all prideful and
sure.
selfish in our own right,
Sure.
naturally. Everybody shows it a little bit more than others, but everybody, one way or another, is prideful and selfish. Okay, so at least I could hang my hat on that I was still a college baseball player, right? When I was a college baseball player, as long as nobody does any research on me, as far as they know, I'm killing it. But like, not that I would ever lie. I'm pretty honest, and then I was also coaching at the time, so I'd hang my hat on that. One of the darkest parts of my life was literally that first fall post, out of college, done with baseball. I'm down here. Of course, I don't really know anybody, anything like that. And then also, like, I'm not coaching at the time either, and I didn't know if I'd be coaching anytime soon. So there was that, like, that adjustment period was rough. But now I'm a few years in. I work here. I coach the Daubers, and I do my own thing. Like, but dealing with still the few years removed from competition, you have, like, I don't have anything to, and there will be a finishing point to all this, but I don't have anything to hang my hat on per se, personally, like pridefully, selfishly, right? So you look at, like, I used to move a lot of weight around in the weight room, especially for a guy like in my frame. Like, I could hang my hat on that. Like, I could do that. I don't really do that anymore because it hurt my body and made me feel bad. But at least I could be like, oh yeah, I could deadlift that, or I could squat that, and it's somewhat impressive. And then, like, I stopped doing that, moved on to a different kind of phase of working out. I'm not playing baseball anymore, right? I'm not
Yet.
yet. I'm playing golf, but I suck. And then, like,
Golf is a failure sport.
right? And then I'm trying to, like, improve my my athleticism or whatever, and that's not a linear progression. I'm coaching, and I have, I don't have any rings. So some people
Ring me up, baby. Ring me up.
Oh god.
yeah. So,
Way to open that door.
well, of course, it's all right. But like, I don't have those things. So then you're, like, searching in life for something to cling on to that you can put some pride in yourself in. And I was just having this internal dialogue with myself. And so, like, my finishing point to that, and we we talked about it kind of at nauseum, not at nauseum, you can keep talking about this, but in our growth group last week for the people at my church, is that I'm still struggling with putting my identity into things that aren't eternal. So when as good and as great as sports can be, for someone's development, for somebody's competitive drive, for learning the aspects of life, as good as sports can be for that, as good as doing great at your job can be for that, as good as having a family and raising the family really well, whatever stage of life you're in, as good as those things can be, and how the impact can have on your mentality, how the impact can have on other people. If you try to put your identity in something like that, it's still going to fail you in the end. You're never going to be fulfilled in this present life we live in. You might think you are, but eventually it's going to catch up to you, and you realize that I need more. If you're putting your identity in things that aren't eternal. And what I will finish off by saying is this is kind of where I finished my personal conversation the other day. If I continue to do that, I will always be just a little unhappy or a little unsatisfied. It's great improving in things, but you're never going to improve to something on this earth that's going to make you sit back and be like, I've done everything. I'm good. I don't need any more of it. Whether that's money, whether that's a job, whether that's sports, whatever it might be. The one thing that can fulfill you in this life, and then of course the next, is a relationship with Jesus Christ. So and leading into that, the more and more, like, if you do have that personal relationship with him, the more and more you distract yourself with these other things too often and not intertwine him into those things, the more they're going to hurt you and beat you down. And then the more you're going to focus on the negatives of failure and the negatives of that. But when there's somebody who beat failure for you, who beat sin for you, that you can put your hope and your trust into, to carry you into the next life, then all of a sudden you intertwine those with the things you love on this earth that are good and pure and can help others and can help yourself and help your family, then all those things become that much better. So to finish my point of the day, that's what's going to make all these things easier. And that's ultimately what's going to fulfill you in this life. If you're thinking selfishly, but also and what'll improve you and the people around you is that relationship with Christ at the end of the day. So
point.
So
Mic drop.
Don't you dare.
What? What do you?
We don't need to run into the rings.
I'm bigger than that. I've grown beyond that. There's a new champion on the board. I can't use that no more. The year is up.
His year is over.
Yeah, my year is over.
So anyway, he just pulls the ring out of his pocket.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie. I wish I did, but no. To all the young athletes, this is a message to you. You will fail. No matter what sport you play, you will fail. You will miss the tackle. You'll miss the goal. You'll miss the game-winning shot. You'll strike out with the runner at third base. You'll miss the ground ball. You're going to miss the set, the spike. You're going to miss the lacrosse ball, all that good stuff. You're going to miss. But I promise you're going to go down. You're going to be at a low point in your life, no matter what age it is. You're going to feel like the world ended. But always remember, there's tomorrow. You will get up and be able to compete tomorrow. Like, there's another chance for you to be the hero tomorrow. Today, probably not your day. But if you stick it out, put in the work, tomorrow will be your day. If you do the right things. But anyway. Yep.
All right. Well,
Yep.
I mean,
Closing time.
Yeah.
Open up the door and let the people out into the world.
Who wants to lead us in prayer?
Like that.
Closing time. Mm-hmm.
Just so happens.
Oh, nice.
Yeesh. Yeah. Before I pray, I read this yesterday. So on that final point, I wanted to read Hebrews 2, and then we can pray it out and shut it down. So therefore we must pay much closer attention to what we have heard, lest we drift away from it. For since the message declared by angels proved to be reliable, and every transgression or disobedience received a just retribution, how shall we escape if we neglect such a great salvation? It was declared at first by the Lord, and it was attested to us by those who heard, while God also bore witness by signs and wonders and various miracles and by gifts of the Holy Spirit distributed according to his will. For it was not the angels that God subjected the world to come, of which we are speaking. It has been testified somewhere. What is man that you are mindful of him, or the son of man that you care for him? You made him for a little while lower than the angels. You have crowned him with glory and honor, putting everything in subjection under his feet. Now, in putting everything in subjection to him, he left nothing outside his control. At present, we do not yet see everything in subjection to him, but we see him who for a little while was made lower than the angels, namely Jesus, crowned with glory and honor because of the suffering of death, so that by the grace of God he might taste death for everyone. For it was fitting that he, by whom all things exist, in bringing many sons to glory, should make the founder of their salvation perfect through suffering. For he who sanctifies and those who are sanctified all have one source. That is why he is not ashamed to call them brothers, saying, I will tell of your name to my brothers. In the midst of the congregation I will sing your praise. And again, I will put my trust in him. And again, behold, I and the children God has given me. Since therefore the children share in flesh and blood, he himself likewise partook of the same things, that through death he might destroy the one who has the power of death, that is the devil, and deliver all those who through fear of death were subject to lifelong slavery. For surely it is not angels that he helps, but he helps the offspring of Abraham. Therefore he had to be made like his brothers in every respect, so that he might become a merciful and faithful high priest in the service of God, to make propitiation for the sins of the people. For because he himself has suffered when tempted, he is able to help those who are being tempted. Lord, thank you for this day. Thank you for giving us another day, because we know tomorrow is not promised other than by your hands that you make the sun rise. So thank you for breath in our lungs and our bodies working well, and how much we are blessed to be able to do that, Lord. Help us attack another day, be productive, and help us intertwine you to everything we do, and remind us when we are putting our identity into things that are not eternal, even things that can be good, things that are very much blessings to ourselves and other people. Help us intertwine you in those so they can be that much more effective and that much more joyful and that much more peaceful tenfold. And help us not forget your salvation, Lord, because it is yours and not ours that you saved us through your Son. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Amen. Well, that's it for episode 67 of season 2, Failure in Sports and Life. See you guys tomorrow.